Hey guys, good to see you already in the chat. The usual names already enjoying the pre-start chat, which is always nice to see. Hi Dawn and everyone, up, down, yes. We'll talk about it. Currently, it's I don't know. I'm not too sold on the structure, but we'll talk about it. Hey Dawn, audio video good? Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Share with us your wisdom. I'll try. I got way too much sun today, so I'm kind of baked. But I'll try anyway. And if I say anything stupid, just assume it's the sun that's getting to my head. Honestly, there are so many stupid names on projects now, I can't handle this shit. What exactly are you talking about? I mean, yes, I agree, but I mean, what specifically are you talking about? But yeah, before we start, big shout out to Bible for sponsoring the show. Their links are in the description if you want to check them out. And yeah, really appreciate their support. So yeah. Hey guys, hey Don, hope all is well. Credits on the thumbnail. Yeah, it's a known YouTube bug. It's so annoying. Like every time I fix it, it just comes back, and like you can't get rid of credit. He's gonna be showing up in the comments as well. I mean, he's just you can't get rid of him. No, but yeah, nothing or not much I can do. It just bugs out sometimes. It will fix itself. Hi Don. For the last year was catching up on the podcast in the mornings following day. First time catching up live. Thanks for good insights. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, whether you're watching it live or afterwards, appreciate everyone that comes by. So yeah. So yeah, let's talk about this. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Maybe talk about some altcoins. But yeah, that's a lot that has happened in the last few days. And something that happened is now we've actually broken support, and kind of retested today. Didn't really have any follow through. Didn't even manage to quite get there. Getting rejected already. There's something that I don't necessarily want to see. I think as long as we're trading below there, it makes a lot of sense to be careful. We talked this before we actually broke through here, that if it did break through, that would be kind of an area to just chill and see where it goes. Because, I mean, this is technically the first time in a long time where we actually have resistances again, right? Could get rejected here, could go lower, and I mean, there's quite the move away from the next serious support, right? So, in my opinion, in general, you're better off above here, like longing above here, even though your entry is going to be less good. And that's what I'm going to be looking for. Like if we trade back above, I'll be all for it, right? But as long as we're trading below it, it's a little bit worrying. Even more so because we've had some bullish news come in the last few days, right? We've had Saylor finishing his buys. We've had Square come in, buy more. We've had positive Tether news, and all we've been getting is red candles. And bullish news with red candles is something that we haven't seen at all. Like that is completely new in this entire rally. So for me, just a warning sign. Doesn't have to mean anything. Doesn't have to mean that the rally is over for now. It just means that it makes a lot of sense to just give it those few $1,000s to the next resistance and then above it to start positioning for upside again, in my opinion. But yeah. Any questions to that? I think it's pretty straightforward. We lost support, lost parts of this consistent uptrend, and now it's just time to wait. Or, I mean, if you want to be aggressive on the short side, like typically, this would be where I would be looking for a breakdown short, right? Like just short the second leg of a move like this, right? So you get a breakdown, you get a counter rally, and then you get another breakdown. But given how the market's been, and given that I can't really short right now, based on jurisdiction, for me, I'm not positioning short. But like typically, this would be where I would be looking for shorts. Just can't really right now. So I'm just gonna look for dips to buy. Old season over. We'll talk about old coins as well. This is just the most obvious kind of thing to talk about, and we can look at the higher time frames as well. But there's really not that much happening there, right? Monthly, just broke to the upside, mega rally. You don't need to look at that too much. And the weekly time frame, I mean, the next support's done here, right? Which I think is a really good area to look at for dip buying, because if you remember back, 40% pullbacks, we've had those a million times in the last few Bitcoin rallies. This is a good support if you're looking for that kind of pullback, right? That would wash out a large portion of the leverage traders, which have been going kind of nutty in the last few weeks. So that is kind of what I'm looking at, the weekly support here, and then obviously the daily resistance here. Those are the two most important things. Anything in between there, I mean, for me, not too interesting. I think rally into here, and then if you're shorting this, we'll stop above the high, shorting this into maybe daily support or even into the weekly range that I showed you on the weekly chart. I think that's a decent trade to take. That would be the most obvious trade. There's a good chance it fails just based on the fact that we've been in a massive uptrend. But if I had to take a trade, that would definitely be the one. And if I could take a trade, it'd probably still be the one. Like I would still take that trade if I could take it, but I can't. So I'll just see where it goes. Done. Why not 45, 46K box support on the daily? Do you mean this one? I think it's fine-ish, this one. Like if you want to add this, I think this is fine. This is where we bounce from, and we have it in the newsletter. So for the people that have been reading the newsletter, that's worked really well. The reason why I don't have it on my personal chart right now is just based on the fact that it's tested here. It tested here again. If it goes back in it, if there's not a sign of infinite bid, right? If there's not another billionaire that kind of jumps into the boat, I'm not expecting it to just hold. So it depends more on, in my opinion, is there a large individual that wants to get exposure to Bitcoin, rather than, okay, is this technical support? Because in my opinion, it's been tested enough times during a rally like this, and it's already a pretty bad support in its own right, that I don't really consider technical support after this kind of dip into it again situation. But it is still technically support. But then again, you could also say this is the support, and you can say this is the support. I don't necessarily like the areas. Like you could even say, okay, this is all support, and then you're kind of sitting there and have a massive support, and you're just sitting. You're just gonna have to kind of have problems positioning yourself based on that. I don't like these kind of structures that go like this, to box them up and just say this support. It's not like, this is not my favorite kind of support to trade anyway. And then, like I said, it's been tested a couple times, so that's why I don't have it personally. But I don't mind it. Like if you have it and you're like, oh, is this wrong that I have this support? I don't think so. It's just not something that I would want to be exposing myself too much at. Don, you used my thumbnail. Good job. Yeah, it's a YouTube bug. I literally changed it 100%. It's just YouTube just kind of fucks it up sometimes. I'll change it if it doesn't change after the stream, but I think it's probably gonna change during the stream. It's just YouTube being YouTube. There he is. Yeah, there he is. Don, why not? Okay, we talked about this. Soul selling spot in that red box is alternative option. No, for me, not really. But I take the trade. I wouldn't, like, I'm not gonna sell any any small holdings. Just is what it is, right? I'm just kind of a sad market participant that can't do much other than just longing altcoins. And yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out eventually. It's getting on my nerves. It's really getting annoying, but yeah. So yeah, that is Bitcoin. Like I said, straightforward. As long as we're trading below 51, I'm not sold on it going further up. And I know that sounds stupid. It has to go up further, but it makes a lot of sense, right? I want to see strength to kind of convince me that this isn't a real breakdown, because right now it looks like it is, in my opinion. And I mean, this kind of candle on the bullish news that we've gotten in the last few days is pathetic, right? So I want to see more strength to be convinced. Support getting retested means support is getting weaker, correct? Yeah, the more times it gets retested, like in general, when you have a support and it gets tested a bunch of times, like let's say you have support here, price rallies, and then test it once, bounces, and then test it again, bounces again, and then test it again. Like every time it goes in that zone, the people that want to buy there in that zone are getting less and less, right? Because they're getting filled, right? Let's say you're waiting for that support to buy, you have your buy orders there, it goes into it the first time, you get filled, it bounces again, your neighbor from 2 houses down gets filled, and then the next day, the last person that wanted to get filled in there gets filled, and then at some point you run out of people that are looking to buy there, and it just goes down, right? That can obviously change if someone new comes into the market, like we've had in the like this kind of rally. When you have rich people kind of enter the market, that kind of goes out the window. But that you can identify by other metrics, right? So you don't necessarily need TA for that, even though it does help. I mean, the TA picture, like in here, you could say, okay, Tesla bought. So the TA doesn't mean anything, but you can also, like, even if you didn't kind of realize that based on the Coinbase action that happened back there, which was that Coinbase was trading way above every other exchange, and you had just some very unusual kind of moves in Coinbase. But even if you're ignoring that, and if you didn't see that, you kind of got the technical support resistance flip, right? So got the breakdown and trade it below, and then you flip it back into support. And that's something that you do want to see. I can remove this to make it easier to see, right? So even the technical, like both sides got their confirmation that this was probably going to go up. The ones that traded the news or traded the Coinbase kind of movements in here, and the people that traded the chart both got there. And obviously, if you kind of combine both, you get a pretty nice setup there. I just changed it. You're welcome. It worked immediately. Yeah. I don't know why. Like I've had that issue several times before. Usually changes just during the live stream. Don't ask me why. But yeah, thank you very much. What about sellers? Don't they get filled too? What do you mean? Yeah, obviously, but like when you have a support like this, like here, right? What you obviously, like the momentum is obviously to the downside, right? You're making lower highs here. And in general, you're coming from above, going somewhere, and that going somewhere is to the downside. Now, obviously, the sellers are getting their fill too. But if you can't rally away from support, and same with resistance, right? If you can't rally away from support, you're probably going to break it. And it's the same with resistance. If you rally into resistance, it gets rejected, tests again, gets rejected, tests again. At some point, the momentum, the previous momentum, because this is where the market is moving previously, is just going to break it to the upside. And the same thing is true on the downside. Excuse my horrible drawings, but you get the point. Let me remove all of this. So yeah, it's obviously both sides like the sellers are selling and getting filled, but like the momentum and the direction of the market that is trading in is like when you're testing support, it's to the downside. When you're testing resistance, it's to the upside. And generally speaking, if they don't do their job, it's probably gonna go. It's not a surefire thing, right? Like if you're seeing a support get tested 5 times and you want to short that support, it's probably not the best idea because it's still support. But I mean, you have the support gets tested 5 times. What you can do is it breaks, and then you add on to the momentum that's gonna generate. Weird way of saying thanks, Cred. Oh, there it is. Dude, already. I told the chat earlier that you were gonna be in here bullying me again, and here you are. Toxic masculinity, I tell you that. Have you seen the dips on the Kraken exchange? Did it really go to 800 or so, or was that a data arrow? No, Kraken does that relatively regularly. So something that we are all used to. ETH/USD, and then you go to Kraken. Something that we're all used to, right? You see this, you're like, this can't be right? But people are trading on leverage on Kraken, and sometimes the liquidity just disappears, which means it's just there's no one to buy this stuff. And it gets horribly inefficient, and then people get liquidated at super low prices. Happened a bunch of times before. I mean, if you look at this is the Bitcoin. I don't know if they've removed it. Yeah, but like if you're looking at this, you've had a bunch of weird stuff happen on Kraken before. I think they've removed some of the wicks because there's definitely been more. But yeah, Kraken just, I mean, sometimes has issues with liquidity. I mean, it's obvious, right? Let's say you're trading on an exchange, barely anyone trades there, and then something weird, or like someone takes a huge position, right? And price moves against them, and they're forced to sell, or in general, they just like fucking everyone over. They get out, and there's only like 10, 15, 20 people that are actually ready to buy it. They can push the exchange down. So the more an exchange is used, the less likely like these kind of wicks become. But yeah, Kraken's done that before multiple times already. Like a known kind of thing with Kraken is that if you're trading on Kraken, that you want to have like bids way below price, so you can kind of catch these things. But yeah. So if I put very low orders, they can be fulfilled. Yes. So yeah, that's Bitcoin. We talked about it. Not much more to say. I want to see it show some strength before I'm convinced of further upside. I mean, we've had a good run, so want to see it trade back above here to assume that that's going to continue. Otherwise, until we trade back above it, I think we're going to 40k ish. But I don't think I think the weekly support is the best kind of way to look at it. And I think that's probably going to get tested, unless of course we're trading back above the daily level. So yeah, that's where my head is right now. It's kind of nice because I've positioned myself in Leo. We talked about this before, and this basically been like a stable coin. Leo USD is still up quite a bit from before the crash, so that is pretty nice for me. But yeah, we'll see how this plays out. With regards to ETH, the thing that I least like, one thing that I absolutely hate is breakouts that immediately retrace to the origin, like to the breakout origin. So in this case, 2017 high sets in a high back then, starts breaking out again and retests like this. That might look like good in a textbook, whatever, but I really hate it when it actually does happen because it usually doesn't play out cleanly. If you look back, 2017, 2018 high, we broke it and then immediately retested it. Now this is still support, and I still think and this is something I tweeted about before, when you're retesting these kind of levels, you would expect at least a bounce from them. But the fact that it retested it does show me that there's less strength in the market than I would have thought. Because if you compare it to Bitcoin never really on a large scale, right? Retested its 17 high. I can quickly show this. This is the 17 high, right? We've had a breakout, and anyone that bought that breakout got away with it and made a bunch of money. Now with ETH, that is not the case. Anyone that bought that breakout got wrecked on this candle. Now we could still go up, right? But that's a warning sign for me. And I mean, ETH's been trading weaker than Bitcoin. So yeah, if I wanted to take any kind of strong trades on ETH to the upside, it would have to be for a good reason, because yeah, I don't like that too much. That said, I mean, it's still at 1.6k, right? Which is insane to think about, given the fact that it's literally traded at $80 or like $90 in March of 2020. So not even a year ago, it was trading at quite a bit less, right? The kind of technicals for ETH, you could kind of box this up if you wanted to. I think this is actually the better one, which means we're kind of trading in resistance right now. This is a little bit of a difficult area, because it's the same thing with Bitcoin I showed you earlier, right? Where it's kind of done this. I hate these kind of moves where it creeps up and then blows back through it, because I mean, you could take this as support, you could take this as support, could be the entire thing. No one really knows, and a bunch of people obviously disagree just based on how the chart looks. So you don't have as much coverage from people betting the same way as you do. But I mean, if you really wanted to be certain that you're not buying a bearish retest, I think it's the same as Bitcoin. If it trades back above like 1.7, 1.8, it's probably good. Unless that happens, I would expect it to maybe retest ATH again. Or I don't know, maybe even chop leg, right? Maybe this is the time to consolidate in here and go sideways for a while. That would probably be the most bullish thing, in my opinion. CryptoCred, you bought the breakout. Did you move your stop loss? Yeah, he's actually been mega chutting it. So he bought the breakout and then exchanged his ETH for Bitcoin again once he saw it stalling. And I think the more important pair to look at, because ETH USD, right? I mean, it looks meh, not really looking good. I mean, it's still trading really high, so it's not looking too terrible. But the really important pair to look at is ETH BTC, right? Do you really want to be trading ETH in general right now? Is the question that is better asked. And something that I've been saying for weeks now is, we've basically lost support, right? This green box was the breakout level, and I can actually show it on the fresh chart. It's easier to see. Is there a better one? Yeah, here. So let's use this one. So we've had this inverse head and shoulder, whatever weird thing going on, right? And we've had this breakout, and it didn't do anything. Right after this breakout, basically, we've had people start dumping their ETH, just looking for the exit liquidity of people getting bullish based on this breakout. So now, whenever you have like a bullish pattern, like an inverse head and shoulders, or even if you're having a bearish pattern, right? Let's say you have like this neat head and shoulders thing, it breaks to the downside and then reclaims it. Like, that's the most bullish thing in the world, right? Because you know that people try to sell the neckline, and it's something that happens often actually in crypto. They try to sell in here and then get absolutely rinsed once it gets reclaimed, right? And the same thing happened here, just on the opposite side of it. So you've had a bullish breakout that got completely faded, and and people are on the wrong side of the trade. Now, it doesn't have to mean that we're just gonna like completely nuke here, but for me, it doesn't really make much sense to expect ETH to outperform Bitcoin if it cannot trade back above that level. And that level is, I can give you the level if you wanna have it, is 0.038 ish, right? So that's kind of the level that it has to reclaim to show me that it's actually strong. Otherwise, I just expect, okay, yeah, this is a failed breakout and we're probably heading lower. Being bearish, ETH hasn't really been playing out too well, right? Since 2020. But then again, like, do you really want to be exchanging your Bitcoin for ETH, or do you want to be trading the ETH markets when it's significantly underperforming Bitcoin, right? And the answer is probably no. And the best kind of way to judge it is by that level, because if it does start trending up there again, then I would expect this to be the final shakeout before a mega moon move up to these highs, or maybe even up to here, right? So why would I want to be greeding for this move in here, which is just like 10%, 15, 20%? Why would I be greeding for those 20% if I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a trade that goes up to here, which is 70%, while this trade has like a fifth or like a tenth of the risk involved of this trade. Like this trade, buying here and then just riding it up, I think is much more risky than the trade up here. So I'd much rather wait here for a positive reclaim to play it to the upside. Is it just me or is the stream down? Oh, I mean, I'm showing good connection, good everything. So I don't think that's the case. So yeah, that's ETH looking rather like bland, really. Like it's not really looking too bearish. It's not looking too bullish. I mean, if anything, like it looks more bearish than bullish. But really, like it's just looking choppy, and yeah, that's not really something that you want to be trading. When you have a market goes like this, and you try to leverage trade it, you're gonna get wrecked most of the time, and you're not gonna have much fun, right? So I don't bother during these times with altcoins, generally speaking. Litecoin, same story, looks more than rough. I was looking to position myself to kind of see a bullish breakout, and this is the perfect example of why I'm waiting for strength sometimes. And in this case, you can just kind of see it on the chart, right? I talk about I want to see this resistance get reclaimed 100 times during every stream. And this is the perfect example, right? You rallied back into a resistance, got rejected, and dumped down. Now, as long as we're not trading above there, I don't really see a good reason to get into that. And then we can even talk about Link, same story there on the daily, where we lost daily support here and then just dumped off. So the altcoins, I wouldn't say, like someone asked, is old season over, whatever. I mean, for some of these coins, they've not been in old seasons, they've just been sucking. Sucks that that's most of my list. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call this an old season. I mean, Link, for example, been fucked. When I'm looking at this chart, when I'm looking at the DeFi charts, I definitely say, okay, we're in old season. So it's kind of like depends on your viewpoint. It depends on what altcoins you're looking at. But yeah, this looks pretty rough, and a bunch of these things look rough. Have you guys seen the Doge tweet from Elon Musk again? He's just tweeting like constantly. Tweeted a picture of a Doge flag on the moon and said like Doge to the moon, literally, which I think means that he's actually gonna literally plant a Dogecoin flag on the moon. So Yeah, damn it, Elon, leave Doge alone. Yeah, he's been trying to pump and dump it. It's not been working. So this is something that we've been talking about for a while, right? So this is like Doge, the Elon tweets. What's been happening, right? He's been tweeting bullish here. The last few bullish tweets from Elon have been getting retraced hard, right? So he's been bullish during, I think, from here up there, right? He's been tweeting that he bought some for his son in here, and as you can see, they've just kind of been faded. So I want to see if this gets faded and we lose 95. I think this just goes down 50%. That said, we had weekly support, right? And I tweeted about this before too. So as long as that weekly support holds, technically it's all good. But if the only thing holding this up is Elon tweeting a bunch and not doing much, yeah, it's going to be an issue. Say now I almost fell for it. Say Elon again, you nailed it. Yeah, I mean I've been bullied so much that I was standing in front of the mirror saying it hundreds of times to just make sure I'm not gonna get bullied again. CNBC were just discussing that Musk Doge tweet. This is what constitutes financial news these days. Yeah, it's. I'm not a fan. I'm honestly not a fan of the new paradigm of like, yeah, stuff moving off of tweets and that kind of stuff. It really reminds me of old season in 17-18, where when you tweeted, like literally when someone with 15K followers tweeted about something, it would move up like 2x just based on the tweet alone. Yeah, we all know how that ended, and I'm not the biggest fan. I don't want to get that back. So I hope that doesn't come like completely back to crypto, but then again, it kind of has, right? But the moment you start noticing this kind of stuff, and like I said, news like that or tweets like that get faded, and that's where you should be careful. I think the same thing is true here. This has to be the bottom, otherwise the bottom's just gonna fall out and it's just gonna make a nuke, I think. What about Bitcoin USD? We talked about it before. I mean it's kind of going down now. I don't know. This was from earlier. It's kind of going a little bit like it's retracing a little bit. What I really don't like is when you get bullish news and you get like people are selling into it. That's just not good in general. But yeah, like I said, this red box gets reclaimed. I think we're in for the moon. As long as it doesn't happen, I think we're in for some nasty pullback. And the 40% kind of pullback would be appropriate in my opinion. So yeah, what coins are you looking for during these dips? So one of the coins that I've positioned myself, I talked about it a little bit earlier, was Leo. I think there's a good narrative play to be made here, and even more so, I don't think it's gonna just die if Bitcoin pulls back a little, just based on the fact that it's trading independently of the entire market, basically. That is one of the coins that I'm positioned in. I had Zcash earlier. That sucked. So I bought Zcash like in here. I rallied and then just started dying again. And I sold on the way down, made a few percent. No, that was that. Fuck Zcash. I mean, like every time I talk about it, and this is something that you guys have been, I mean, having to hear about Zcash from me for a while, it's just on this downward trajectory, right? And every time it gets a little bit above it, it starts spiking back below it. So I'm not biggest fan of this structure. I tried it because some of my friends are like back holding this. I was kind of hoping that they actually figured something out that I hadn't. Turns out no. So yeah, Zcash just dumping. What I generally want to see for all coins that I want to position myself during dumps is when you see them outperform the market while the market is dumping, right? So, I mean, we talked in the newsletter, we talked about the SAM coins, right? Solana, FTT, that kind of stuff. When you're seeing strength during tough times, you're probably going to see more strength during the better times. So what people always seem to think is, okay, my coin dumped during Bitcoin rise. It's gonna kind of catch up to Bitcoin when Bitcoin goes sideways. Instead, what you want to be looking at is if my coin manages to hold sideways while every other coin goes down the shitter, it's probably going to outperform every other coin once Bitcoin calms down, right? So you don't want to be looking for, oh, this is a straggler, oh, this is slow, whatever, because that's not going to do you any good. You want to look for strength, and that's why I always talk about these reclaims. Because, I mean, that is strength in itself, right? It manages to break a resistance, and then you can trade that breakout. You can trade that strength, because, like, people have been saying EOS is gonna go up because, I mean, it's gone down so much that it has to go up, right? And I mean, that works sometimes, but most of the time, the fact that it's been this weak on the way down while everything else was struggling as well, only means that it's probably going to be weaker when everything else is strong, right? So you have a strong market going into a correction. It might correct a little bit and then go. You have a weak market into a correction of Bitcoin, and then it might bounce a little and then die some more. So that's what you want to be looking at, right? And sadly, the coins that I'm familiar with, the coins that have been around for a while, have been exceptionally weak in comparison to the new kind of coins. So it's been some time to it's been time to read into stuff that I know very little about, just because I've been a little bit lazy. So the newer coins, the ones that have shown strength, those like Sushi, for example, when you're looking at Sushi, this is still fine-ish, right? The problem becomes, and this what you want to really be careful about, is when you actually start seeing, like, this has been up-only mode, right? When you look at this, can you see any swing low that has actually been broken on this? No, the answer is no, there's none, right? There's literally not been a close lower and then like any swing low on this. You have a swing low here. Has that been broken on a closing basis? No. Same thing here, same thing here, same thing here, same thing here even. Like, there's not been one single one where swing low's been closed through. So I want to be looking at these kind of strong ones and see how they react. Like, let's say Bitcoin corrects, and I think that's probably going to happen. What does happen with these kind of supports? What happens if this breaks to the downside, right? And then I'm going to be looking at this, and I want to be seeing, like, if this breaks to the downside, it's kind of getting heavy here, right? You can kind of see that. If it does break to the downside, it's just immediately bought back up. Because if it is, I know exactly where to place my risk, which would be down here. And I know exactly that I'm playing it from that reclaim all the way to like 30, 40, 50. And that's a relatively easy trade to take. Now, it's a little bit of a harder trade to take by just buying the next support down, which I still think is fine, right? I mean, this has been really strong. It has a lot of attention. People want to be buying the dips, right? So when you're looking at the next support below this one, because like I said, it's been getting a little bit heavy on this one. We talked about this at the beginning of the stream. When you get like too many tests, it starts getting a little bit scary. Let's say it does break that support and goes back down here. I'd be looking for strength there. But the kind of preferred way to trade this and to position myself, and you're going to have quick trigger fingers in this one, is if it bounces from here, goes all the way. I mean, that is a massive move in itself, right? So that's going to be a 60% move. And that's just how it is going to be, right? This is something that you kind of have to deal with, because if it does kind of reclaim this, I think the bigger move is yet to come. And this down here is the one where it's more risky. Or you just buy the support and pray it doesn't break. It's fine too. It's just where do you place your risk? It gets a little bit more complicated, but it's a fine trade as well, as long as you're fine with getting stopped out 2 out of 3 times, because the reward's still going to be pretty large. Don kind of bearish. On Bitcoin, I mean, for me, I have to be, right? On Bitcoin, I have to be, as long as we trade below here. We have bullish news coming into below support, and we're getting sold, like that gets sold into, and we are also trading below support. So for me, I have to be at least cautious. Now, do I want to be? Obviously not. I mean, it's been every time anything has broken to the downside, it's been a quick kind of move below support and then a move back up. But for me, this kind of move, like missing these 13%, does not matter one bit if you're catching this after, right? Like, imagine this, like you're buying down here and you're the hero on crypto Twitter, right? That's a nice feeling, right? But the risk down here is astronomical in comparison to the risk up here. Like, and you only get like 10% of a move in your favor if you're buying the absolute low, right? Whereas this one, you actually have a really nice risk-defined setup down here. You know exactly, okay, if it goes back down there, I'm probably screwed, so I can get out. And then you just take the free ride all the way up. And that's the same situation that's going to be happening in here, right? If this is actually bullish, it's going to show it's bullish, and it's going to reclaim this and look strong. And that's where, even though it's going to be higher than current price, that's where it makes more sense to be bullish in my eyes. So, Don, MS and SQ bought around 51 to 53. I know. Like, the big buys have come in here. And we nuked straight through. Didn't help one bit. And we had bullish news. We've had a bunch of stuff. Every time in the last few months, basically, every time we've had bigger buys come in, they've kind of formed the bottom relatively straight after it. MicroStrategy has kind of a knack for buying the tops, like the intermediate tops. They've just kind of like they started buying in here and then dipped and then bought more. But anything besides that, right? Tesla immediately in profit. A bunch of other billionaires that are not actually even that have not been shared. Like it's not only these people that have bought in, right? I know about a bunch of billionaires that have moved into crypto with a considerable sum. They obviously don't have to declare it because it's with their private money. And they've all been immediately in profit, right? And this is a little bit out of the ordinary. So I think it makes a lot of sense to just give it this difference here from current price all the way up to like 52, 53. And if it shows strength there and not like anywhere in this area, actually manages to close above, I think it's probably gonna moon, right? So do you wanna fight for this and risk it all for this kind of move? Or do you wanna risk it all, or like a bunch? You don't wanna risk it all in general, but you get what I'm saying. Or do you wanna risk it for this move? Like, do I wanna be exposed to the balls neck deep in this? Or do I wanna be exposed in this? And for me, the answer is obvious. And obviously, vice versa, if that's the case, and this is the risk you take on the short side versus the reward on the long side, which goes from here all the way down here, that seems like an obvious trade to me as well. So that's kind of why I am leaning the way that I do. It's not because, okay, I want to see this go up or down. It's just based on the fact that there's quite an easy kind of way to look at this market and see if it's going to go up or down. And the risk is kind of in the long side right now. So That's kind of my view on it. If you disagree, that's fine by me. The good thing is, like, you don't have to play the short side. If you're not bearish, which I mean, fair, because it's just a mega bull run, right? If you're not bearish, the best thing to do, and this is something that I've kept on repeating this entire way up, the best thing to do is long your guts out the moment bears get invalidated. Bears got invalidated here, a mega mooned. Bears got invalidated in here with the breakout, basically. I can actually draw the box. So you've had a breakdown here, you get a reclaim, a false breakdown here, so that looks pretty bearish. You reclaim it and you long it the moment the bears get fucked. And the bears got fucked in here, it just mega mooned. Same story in here, right? Bears got invalidated. What happens after is a mega moon. So, like, that's the easy trade to take, right? You see the bears get rolled over, you pounce on them. The harder trade to take, in my opinion, is buying the lows, which, I mean, you can do, has been profitable almost every time, but there's more risk involved in that kind of strategy. Don, what would trigger your short? Then I'd just be short already. Anything close to that box would have shorted, like got me into a short. But I mean, I can't short. So for me, it doesn't really matter. Just based on tax issues. So I can't do anything about it. Just gonna have to watch it. So yeah, that's Bitcoin. With regards to the altcoins, I think the sushi setup is one of the best ones to watch, and sushi has been really strong. So any kind of strong dips, I mean, I think if this strong like dips really hard, I'm probably just gonna get exposed by some. That would have to mega dip though, which I'm not sure that's gonna happen. So for me, most likely when the market is this strong, right? What the most likely trade that I'm gonna take on it is gonna be buying into strength, right? Like say this breaks down completely and I see a nice support in here, I get to buy that, I'm happy to, right? But that's probably not gonna happen. Like a mega nuke, probably not gonna happen. Probably just if it does break down and does break supports, it's probably just going to go to the first one and then bounce. But I'm going to buy into strength if that's the case. And if it just completely rolls over, I'm fine with buying into weakness. Because then I'm like, okay, I'm getting this at such a discount that it's actually worth buying at weakness. Because do you want to be buying, it doesn't really, like, expensive and cheap doesn't really make much sense in trading, right? But do you want to be buying the first support while the market is showing weakness? Or do you want to buy a deep support while the market is showing weakness and the strong, or like a strong breakout when the market is showing strength? I mean, for me, the choice is pretty obvious. But yeah, it depends on your viewpoint. And I think both is valid, right? Just blindly buying supports has been doing really well. So that's fine too. Why that? You're on the German tax law. Is shorting illegal in Germany? No, it's not, but it's really difficult with regards to taxes this year. Anyway, I think it's probably gonna get thrown out by the Supreme Court. I think that's the English word for it. But until that happens, I'm just gonna take it easy. So people have been recommending me to move, but I mean, one, it's COVID times, and two, I actually like Germany a lot, so it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. So I'm just going to have to find a workaround. But until that happens, and until I find a workaround that I'm actually happy with, because there are a few, but so far nothing that I've actually liked, I'm just going to take it easy, and that's fine, right? So yeah. Yeah, that's the strong ones. There's obviously other ones. We can talk about DOT, but they're all in the same. They're all in the same situation where they've been rallying really hard. They're retesting their first support now, right? DOT, for example, in here. I don't mind this support at all. Actually, it's quite aggressive for me. So I'm not entirely sure if I just want to blindly buy that. even more so given my Bitcoin kind of stance on it. But I don't mind this. It's been working really well. Every time we've had any kind of semblance of support, it's gone up, right? So why should this time be different? The answer is probably not, but I find it really, really difficult, like during these kind of run-ups into the first support. But that's just a trading flaw that I have. It's not something that should be there. So I should be fine buying this and getting fucked if it just nukes. But yeah, that's something that I still have to learn, at least with altcoins. I don't have a problem with that with Bitcoin. I have a problem with it on altcoins, and it's something that's been holding me back a little. If in doubt, where would you set your stop losses? So in general, right, you're looking at this chart and you're like, okay, this is up only basically, right? It's not broken any supports, it's not done anything bad, right? It's just been up only. Now, when does that actually change, right? Because, I mean, you want to be holding this until it changes or until it hits your target, wherever that may be, right? And in my opinion, it does kind of change if we lose $30. So if you're losing the support here, you've actually lost the support, and that's not really been happening. Like, you look at this support, held perfectly. You look at this support, nothing came even close. You look at this support, nothing came even close. And then you've had the range down here, right? So nothing in here kind of endangered anything. Even if you're taking this support in here, it kind of held, right? It got retested pretty much perfectly down here, but it kind of held, right? So you've not gotten any danger in any, like if you're long this, and if you've been long this, there's not been any danger since $7 all the way up. Now, if this does start closing or losing $30, then I mean that's trouble. And then you can kind of say, okay, it's probably time to look for an exit, maybe get an exit into 30. If it does reclaim it, just re-enter the position and just hope that that's it. And sometimes what happens is it reclaims it, goes back up a little, and then dumps again. And then you're just going to have to take an additional stop loss. So you get stopped out twice and then it's really done. But yeah, that's kind of how I look at these altcoin moves. As long as they're up only, right, you assume that support is going to hold, and the moment support breaks, that's where you get a little bit careful. And that's why, I mean, that's the same that I've said in here, right? And we've assumed that the support was going to hold. It didn't. So now it's time to change gears and wait for it to kind of show some strength. So hope that helps. But yeah, I know it's not as straightforward as, okay, set your stop loss down here, mega moon it, whatever. I mean, I'd love if trading was that easy, but it's not. Then again, like, it's been pretty easy on the up only side of things. You're a full-time trader, so you're being conservative. What about the people who want to make the most of this bull cycle and go for that 10x? I mean, then you're looking at this DOT thing. If you can, generally speaking, if you're aiming for the big wins, I mean, might as well gamble, right? It's not really trading at that point. Like, if you're looking for 10x based off of not much in one trade, like, there's a big difference in taking 10 trades that go up like 50, 60, 70%, and now one 10x trade, right? Because that one 10x trade is majority of it is luck. And if you take a bunch of trades that go your way, that's a little bit more skillful. But in general, if you're looking for that big winner, whatever, and you want to trade leverage, you just buy every support and pray to God that, you know, you're not the one that gets rolled over. Because what happens in the bull market is, you do this, and you're fine every time you long support on this move up, and then at some point it wipes you. And if you're that person that's looking for 10x, you're probably getting liquidated, and that was your trading journey. Now it depends on kind of what you want to achieve in the market, right? If you want to be building kind of your trading experience, and you want to get in the market to stay in the market for a while, you don't want to be trading like that. if you just want to use a cycle and hope it has some more fuel in it, I think it's, and that is terrible advice in any other circumstances. But in general, if you're like, okay, I think this kind of up only season has leg in it, and I want to make the most of it, and I don't care if I lose it all. I mean, and you bet big on every single support basically, and pray to God that you're getting an exit that you actually like, or that you get to your target before it actually crumbles. Because something that is going to happen is you double up every time, and chance of ruin is going to be higher every time. So yeah, but I can't hate that or hate on it in general, because I mean that's basically what I've done in 17, 18. I just bought a shitload and then just prayed that my instinct and my read on the market was correct, which was it was gonna only go up, and that worked for me. So I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying, like, if you get unlucky, or if you're the one that buys the last support test that actually fails and it just nukes, then I mean you're shit out of luck. So hope that helps. I mean, I hate giving the advice of, okay, just bet big and hope you're not the person that loses it all. But I mean, sometimes, and that's the funny part, right? For some people, and in some circumstances, that's not necessarily the worst thing that they can do, right? If you're in it to gamble, I might as well take a better bet than you get in the casino, right? Because in the casino, you're not gonna get that good of a bet in general. So come on, guys, smash the like button for Don. Oh Jesus, I almost said the smash the like button to, like, in my own voice. That would have been awkward. I mean, if I'm saying that, like, being like serious, I always cringe. So I always like it when people say it in the chat, because I mean then I don't have to, and I can just read it out and don't feel cringe because I just read what someone in the chat said. It's always easier. Um, are we seeing a bearish retest on the 4 hour for Bitcoin? Let me see. Let's actually make a nice 4 hour chart because I don't have one currently. Oh, this Cred actually sent me this. Cred actually sent me this, and he sent me this. Let me send you. Let me show you what he sent me earlier. I think something like that. I don't quite remember it. He sent me this. I was like, he made a comment of up only or something. I don't even remember. But yeah, this is a pretty nice bearish retest with confluence of like trend line break, whatever. In general, like, if you want to be less conservative about it, you could say, okay, if this 4 hour candle kind of reclaims this, it's probably fine. I like the daily better because this could just be a fake out if it moves higher, but this is the more aggressive kind of way to look at it. If it reclaims this, just long it and then try to hit it big. I like the daily for it better, just based on the fact that, I mean, it's similar level and it's gonna be close, gonna be soon anyway. But yeah, you get the point. Hey, I sent you that trend line. I just said it, man. Like, I'm trying to give you credit for something, and then you just come in and at the last second just pretend like I didn't. Throw me under the bus. It's not me. It wasn't me. Is your real name Donald or Don? None of the two. Donald is just basically a play on words based on Donald Duck, the Don of altcoins, and a bunch of other things. Sorry, I had stream muted. Gotta stay awake. Yeah, I am getting bullied by my coworker. There has to be a way to kind of report co-worker bullying, like bullying at the workplace. Gotta look into it. See if I can get Cred fired or something. Co-founder? Jesus Christ. Just mute me again. Get out of here. Oh man. But yeah, there's been some coins have been stronger than others, and most of them are weirdly owned by Sam. So do with that as you will. Going through my list, I mean, we talked about this before. Do you guys remember when I kept talking about my friend that said that BQX, like for the OGs in the stream, do you guys remember when I talked about BQX running out of tokens to sell, and my friend telling me about it, like literally here? And then it mooned, and we were talking about, holy shit, this just mega mooned, he's a genius. Do you guys remember? At least a handful has to remember, right? Now look at what happened after. We can actually make this a replay. So we talked about it here, right? We talked about it here, I think, about my friend saying that. So it mega mooned, right? We can do this while we're talking. So mega mooned 3x. Wow, he's genius. He called it. Now let's speed it up a little. Can I speed it up a little? Oh, whatever. I'm too lazy. Yeah, that mega moon that we just talked about, right? Is literally this. So we talked about it in here. It went up 2x, 3x, fucked off for a little bit, went up 8x, and now it's madness. It's madness. My friend's a multi-millionaire now. Started off with I think 20k in end of last year, beginning of this year. Yeah, this is that's pretty mad. It shit happens in the crypto space, man. But yeah, so it's up 6.2k% now. He's up 620x ish, and this coin actually has like a stock equivalent, or whatever you say in English, and he bought the bottom on that too, and that's up also from 10 cents all the way to $15, so 150x as well. So I mean, we talked about this, and yeah, it's been rough seeing this go up. I mean, I have some, so that's been nice, but just like he sends me a portfolio update every other day, and it's literally every time he sends me one, there's another million on top of it, and it's fucking mad. An exchange traded fund or ETF, that's I mean, they have like it's just a stock basically, as far as I understand it. So they're trading on a bunch of, I think they're trading in the US and in Canada, and yeah, I have no idea what exactly it is. He's been telling me about it like nonstop, and telling me to all in, and I didn't listen. Is what it is. Is that your friend, Cred? I know you don't have many. What was that? Oh, that's a rough thing to say. Holy shit. Just telling Cred he's got no friends. Wow. Poor Cred. Even I don't bully him that much. Oh, Jesus Christ. That was out of left field. But yeah, sometimes you get sometimes you get crazy moons in crypto. When you bet big on those crazy moons, when you have conviction, I mean, you can make a bunch, and my friend did, so I'm happy for him. He was roasting you. You were talking about your friend. Your friend Cred. Oh, I'm the dumb shit. Now I was laughing about my own misfortune. That makes it even worse. Jesus Christ. Lol, yes, I was talking about Don. Jesus Christ. Why are you making a comment about how many friends I have? I'll let you know that I have a bunch of friends. Like, what kind of comment is that? Why am I always the one getting bullied? Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's mad. It's mad. Some of this stuff is going mad. But other stuff like Zcash, I mean, you're kind of struggling out there. Everyone teaming up on Don, yeah, it's rough out here. It's rough out here. No one loyal. Everyone just backstabbing. Imaginary friends, yeah, that's how it is. During COVID, might as well be, dude. Might as well be. Um, but yeah, I mean, any other coins you guys want to talk about? I'll give you like 5 minutes to kind of put the cash tags out there, and we'll look at some, um, and then see if any of you has any good taste. I mean, I doubt it, but might as well give it a try, and then see where we at. Soul, Cred's like here in the chat, and he's not even watching the stream. Didn't even see that I talked about it before. Yeah, that's a good coworker to have, huh? Okay, let me see. Someone asked about ADA. Yeah, ADA is actually something that we wanted to include in the newsletter a bunch of weeks ago. I think it's just mega strong. I have no idea why. Like, I don't know if there's any technical reason for it, and I don't know why it nuked my chart. That's a bummer. The only reason why we didn't include it is because there's a bunch of conflicting support levels that make it pretty hard to judge risk, right? So we've had this area, and we were like discussing, are we using this one because we were talking about a bullish retest in that area, or are we using this one? Where's actually the good place to kind of place risk, play the safe, and we just couldn't get on the same page, I think. But yeah, we were both agreeing that I was bullish, so I don't really see a good reason to be bearish unless we trade back below here, which, I mean, just hope that doesn't happen. And then target wise, the good resistance is up here, right? So that's quite a bit away. I think it still makes sense. Like, if you're bullish ADA and you think this is gonna go up higher based on whatever reason you have, as long as this doesn't get lost in a closing basis, and I mean, that's gonna suck, and that's probably gonna happen like 50% of the time, right? But the payoff is much larger than the loss. So I still don't mind this trade, playing it into resistance. And is that gonna play out? I don't know. But like I said, I think if this is 50-50, if the chance is 50-50 that we're gonna lose this support, and that's just a number that I pulled out of my ass, that just makes sense to me based on this this structure here. But yeah, if that's what you like, that's the reward, and this is the risk down here. I still think that's a fine-ish trade, right? So that's kind of ADA for me. As long as it's trading above that support, I don't really see good reason for it to go down. If it does lose that support, I mean, nuke it, take it to wherever, take Charles to jail. But if that's not happening, take him to the promised land. And Charles always been my hero. If it does go up, if it does go down, take him to jail. But if it does go up, yeah. Looking pretty. Jesus, you guys have so many cash tags. I'm just gonna ignore Cred generally, just based on the fact that he's Cred. Raven, okay, that's an interesting one. I've been looking at Raven myself for an entry, but I didn't get one. I tried, but I didn't get one. Just based on, I mean, I know a bunch of funds that are in Raven, and I mean, that was, I think, one of the reasons why this did so poorly on the way down. But every time the market turns and you have a bunch of large holders in stuff like this, and a bunch of capitulation, because that really capitulated, it turns around real fast. And I was trying to kind of position myself in it, but couldn't get it, and it just mega moved. So now, in general, technically speaking, the is looking pretty good, right? And it's basically the same setup as ADA, whereas if it does not lose this support, I think it's just gonna go higher. And I think this is one of the high risk, high reward plays as well, where you're like, okay, I could see this go up here, right? So it reclaimed the range low. I think there's a good chance that it just goes back to previous highs in that area, as long as it doesn't lose this. And that's just, in my opinion, it. It's as simple as that. Does it manage to hold this support or not? I tried to get in, I couldn't get it. I might try to get in again. I still like the setup. It's more than double of what it used to be where I wanted to get in, which always hurts, right? But I mean, that's just trading for you. But yeah, I like Raven. It's so good. Like the moment I saw you mention Raven, I was like, oh yeah, I like it. Good eyes on that front, even though it's up a lot. And I mean, if it does start losing like 300 sats, it's probably gonna just dump again. Echo bubble-ish. We have a big rally here, and then it dumps off of a small one. But like I think being bearish Raven until it kind of loses the support is a fool's errand, basically. I'm sure the 3 people that trade ADA BTC are grateful. The 1,000 trading ADA USD probably disappointed. Yeah, the thing is, the 1,000 that are trading ADA USD are the people that traded that joined the market literally in the last month, have no idea what they're doing, and they're sitting there listening to you sell them whatever, while the people that have been trading ADA BTC actually know what they're doing. And yeah, I mean, it just is what it is, my brother. But yeah, I don't mind Raven. I'm gonna look at it some more, see if I can actually get an entry. It kind of hurts. Like, I mean, I bet you guys know the feeling, right? When you're trying to get into momentum, you don't get in, and then it just runs away from you. That's a rough one. And I mean, it's been happening to me a bunch this and last year. And it's really frustrating, but I mean, that's trading. When you're trying to get into something and it's just not liquid enough, when it's not pulling back enough, it's just, yeah, that hurts. That Doge feeling, yeah. Doge is on another level, but yeah. Where do you put stop loss if you trade Raven? I don't, like, in general, I've talked about this before. On altcoins, I don't put stop losses. And, I just stop out the moment I get invalidated. So when you hear me say, okay, if it does start losing this box, I think that's the trade's wrong. That means if it trades low, and I mean, that can happen. Sometimes you get a 50% candle. I'm going to be the idiot that sits in it and gets completely and utterly wrecked and then gets out the moment we actually start closing below it. It's just how it is. I just try to get out on any bounce at that point. Because if you have a stop loss on these altcoins, and I hate having to say this because, I mean, not having a stop loss is one of the worst things that you can do. But with altcoin tradings, you cannot really have stop losses if you actually don't want to get wiped. Because a bunch of these coins, and this has happened before, we actually talked about BQX before, right? The coin that Mega Moon, right? That my friend getting rich off of whatever, right? Do you want to see what happened in the 5th of March in 18? This coin went to literally 0 or like 18 sats, which was basically the low of all time, or even below it actually. So yeah, if you were trading this with a stop loss, yeah, you didn't have much fun. You probably got stopped out at 18 sats, which is literally 99%, basically 100% down from where this candle closed, right? So if you're in this with a stop loss, you basically lost your entire balance that you've had in that coin. Now, I hate to say I don't trade with a stop loss on these altcoins, because when I do, people are going to buy the stop at the altcoins and then never stop out. And that's not what I'm doing, right? And that's not what I'm talking about. Because when you're getting invalidated, you have to get out, right? Your trade idea is wrong. And your trade idea would be wrong below that green box. So that's just how it is, right? Let's say you have a stop loss, just wicks to zero, have fun. I mean, you just lost it all, right? Let's say you have a stop loss, you know, okay, I'm getting invalidated if it trades below here. It goes down like 50% in one candle, and it trades way below where you actually want to get out. I mean, that's altcoin trading. You just lose more, and you have to account for that. It's just how it is. You're not gonna get a good stop out. You're not gonna get anything really on these altcoins. You're not gonna get any gifts. You're either right or you're horrendously wrong, basically. I'm on Cred's side for this. Yeah, everyone that sucks at trading is at Cred's side on this. I will not talk further about this. I'm just gonna bully Cred for it. No, I think both are important. For ADA, I think it's stupid to take a look. Like, I don't understand why you'd look at the ADA USD chart, because it's just garbage. Like, what do you want to do with this? Like, I mean, legitimately, what do you want to do with this? There's nothing to do there. It's just basically Bitcoin with a bunch of interference based on the ADA chart itself, right? Which doesn't really help you. I mean, in my opinion anyway, I think. Like, there's nothing for me to do here. You could say, okay, it's probably going to pull back to support down here, and then no one really cares. Because, I mean, that's a 50% drawdown. It's probably not going to happen. So it's like, this is useless in my eyes. Whereas the other chart that I showed you earlier actually helps you in defining your risk and knowing where you're wrong. Yeah, I got punished with wicks and altcoins this week. Yeah, I mean, then again, like, if you're trading high leverage, which you shouldn't be doing on altcoins anyway, you obviously need a stop loss. I just don't, like, I don't see a good reason why you would want to be trading altcoins on high leverage in general, and I don't see a good reason why you want to be stopped out on wicks on swing plays if you can't just get invalidated based on closes. But yeah, we've run way over time, and I have actually stuff to do, so I'm gonna call it a day here. Sorry if I didn't get to your coin. I mean, it's just too many to count. But yeah, I appreciate you coming by. Appreciate Bybit for sponsoring the show. Like I said earlier, their links are in the description if you want to check them out. And yeah, we'll see each other on Friday. I want to invite a friend of mine. So if he has time, I'm gonna have a guest. If not, we won't. We'll see about it. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. Really appreciate it. It's always much more fun having an audience and having people to talk to, because otherwise it gets weird. So yeah, appreciate you coming by live. Appreciate the guys that are watching it afterwards as well. No, not everyone can make the time, so appreciate that as well. And yeah, we'll see each other on Friday. Bye bye.